No, it's not like changing your email address to get a free trial of Hulu every month. No, it's enjoying things that are actually free.
Oh no, Ross is on to me. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fun Money Podcast. We are your hosts, Josh Hargrove
And Ross Powell.
We're excited to be here with you today in the midst of a lot of financial difficulty going on out there.
Yeah.
What a way to start.
What a way to start. A lot of bright sunshine and happiness.
Yeah. It's going to be a bright... All right, so what do you do? What do you do if... let me phrase kind of the way we're going with today's episode like this, Mr. Powell. If I said, Ross, for the next 4 weeks... I challenge you to live on 20% less than you're living on now. How do you feel about that?
I would appreciate the challenge, and
you would laugh it off and go about your life.
It would be a challenge to find 20% less expenses than I'm already accustomed to. I'm scheduled to pay. I'm subscribed to pay.
So where's this coming from? Why would I even ask that question? And what we're talking about today, as of the recording of this, as we've mentioned a couple times before, stock market is down, bond market is down, and inflation has been crazy, right? Inflation has been through 2022, highest it's been in decades. Interest rates are going up. So first of all, property values went up, right? So people are looking for houses, either first-time home buyers or upgrading, and they're just seeing that the market is just insane. You're having to pay over market month after month after month.
Yeah, that increased cost of living drives employees to demand higher wages, and that drives up the cost of labor, which drives up the cost of goods. And so it's just kind of a spiral that continues to cycle in itself. So
today I hear I'm listening to news radio. And did you know that was still a thing, Abby?
News radio?
Do you know what a radio is? Okay. I don't know what kids these days do with their life. So I'm listening to the news on the radio.
Okay.
And they are talking about Starbucks. Starbucks, they demand for Starbucks drinks apparently has gone down over the past year.
Interesting.
So they've had, business has slowed for whatever reason. And so they raised their prices, increased the pricing on their products. And so what has happened is they've actually seen a bump in revenue. It's actually been the report came out that, hey, this has worked, right?
Okay.
So whatever that means, I don't know. People are buying less, but they're willing to spend more money on it.
It's less price sensitive.
Yeah.
But is the decreased demand mean that it is more price sensitive as people are choosing to buy it less? Some people are there is a division between customers. Some are price sensitive and some are not.
Yeah. So here's the point of what I'm getting at, which is nobody came out and said, hey, America, you're going to have to live on 20% less than you are, except that's basically what inflation does. It deteriorates your buying power. So we are not talking about inflation today per se, not directly. What we are wanting to talk about is this idea of how do you recession-proof your finances. And you actually have this, it's an article, right, that you came across about?
I came across these two articles. Particularly, they focus on contentment. And so an argument that we would make is that if you can increase your contentment as a whole, you can take over more of your lifestyle. And if you can take over more of your lifestyle, that would include also taking over more of your control of your finances.
So Ross is going to walk us through some of the points, the major points that he pulled out of this article. But here's the application that we want our listeners to take away from this. And it's the idea of separating your contentment from your stuff, trying to divorce. Divorce? And sometimes English escapes me. To divorce your emotions from your finances, because we can get to this place financially where this is the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to now. I go to Starbucks X number of times per week, and these are the drinks that I get. It's just my routine.
Sure.
And suddenly, when the price of a cup of coffee goes up, you're faced with. I mean, essentially, that's tantamount to you're having to live on less, right? So what do you do? Well, if your contentment is, I'm only happy if I get to go to Starbucks 3 times a week. Well, then that's misplaced, and so that's the angle we're taking today.
Yeah.
You want to take it from there?
Yeah, I collected these 2 articles, and they had some crossover. So I just wrote down 12. I wrote down 10 of the items. There were 12 total, but some of them were almost identical copies of each other. So I've got a list of 10 here. Just run through this kind of quickly and see what you agree, disagree, comment on, and then we'll wrap it up on
I always have a comment.
how to help change your financial viewpoints by adding contentment. So, number 1. This episode is scheduled to come out in November. So, practice gratitude is number 1 on the list. A month of thanks.
Whoa. Well, look at us.
Practice gratitude. It's like we almost planned it.
I'm thankful for Abby, our intern, who's helped us to get so far ahead with our recording.
That's right. But you won't even remember his name by the time this comes out.
Who? Just kidding.
Practice gratitude. Hey, Josh, have you done any gratitude practices? Like specific scheduled regular gratitude?
No, I haven't. And because actually, you said the actual recommendation from the article was, what was it? It was like, have a gratitude journal, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely have never done that.
Okay.
I have tried to, I don't want to go so far as to say I've made it a habit, because that implies that, oh yeah, on a regular basis, here's every Tuesday morning I get up and I have a gratitude exercise. But I would say that I do regularly pause and just go, you know what? I'm thankful for, whatever.
Yeah. Well, number 7 on the list is pause. So we'll just cover that one now. What does it look like when you pause?
Personally?
Well,
I try to do some amount of pausing every morning. And for me, what that looks like is I try to have a spiritual devotional time every morning where it's just, me and God. I open my Bible, I read, I think about what I'm reading, I spend some time praying. And so I try to do that on a daily basis. And I haven't done this next one as well, but what I'd like to do moving into this next season is have more frequent, like personal getaway
retreats.
and even just even if it's just half a day, it doesn't have to be overnight, although that would be great. But yeah, taking time like that to pause, to reflect, and to insert some gratitude is huge. And that absolutely helps you to put things in perspective so that you go, you know what? Yeah, stuff is costing more,
Yes.
things are a little bit tighter, but look at what we still have.
Yes.
I'm going to be okay.
look, that perspective, ability to insert perspective into your day on a regular basis, whether you do it once a day or you do it as you're transitioning from one part of the day to the next.
Yeah.
Inserting that perspective helps shape how you think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pause when you get the chance. Number 2 on the list, since we went 1, 7, 2 here in a nice clean order, take control of your attitude. So some of these are kind of hokey. This one I feel like is on that border, but
I think isn't that check yourself?
Check before you
wreck yourself.
Classic.
Okay,
here's a financial one. Break the buying habit.
I don't like this.
No, of course you don't, because you buy on instinct, don't you, Josh?
I'm a spender.
You don't think about what you're doing.
And that's not a joke. I am definitely a spender.
Definitely a spender.
Yep.
Yeah. So, do you have things that you buy habitually? If you review the last week's purchases, is there something that you bought without thinking about it? You bought it just because
take a little bit more.
Was part of the schedule or part of your habit.
Just kind of part of what I do.
Like going to Starbucks between here and the office, or between the office and the house.
I did not do that, but I'll give you. Let me give you an example of something that I did do.
All right.
I went, okay, the printer that we have now, I was scanning some stuff. It was kind of moving slowly, and I'm like, we've had this thing for a while.
Okay.
Maybe it's starting to slow down. Maybe it's getting old, Ross, showing some signs of wear.
Yes.
And not only that, you know, I'm actually in the process of moving my office, home office from upstairs to downstairs. But my wife and my kids, they do, you know, when they have their homeschool days on Tuesdays and Thursday, they're upstairs, and so, you know, they need access to a printer. So I'm going like, you know what, we need another printer. That's what we need. We need another printer, and I need something that scans fast, because right now I'm trying to scan a bunch of stuff.
Fast is relative.
Faster than what I got. That's what I need. And so I think I for a moment I went to go search, and I went, "What are you dummy?
What are you doing? How often do you use a scanner at home? How often do you use paper? Come on, Josh.
Not often.
Break the buying habit."
Yes, that is a good advice for me.
Okay, so this is a pretty good comparison. Pretty good transition, because we're going to talk about comparison next. So number 4 here is reduce comparison. If you're comparing how fast your scanner is at home versus the one here at the office, that's the big mother scanner.
Language.
I was going to say mothership, but anyway. Find ways to reduce comparison, and that will increase your contentment. Agree? Disagree?
No.
You just don't like it.
No, I agree. I think that you could have used a better example than me comparing my scanners. But isn't that more like comparing myself or what I have to what other people have?
Sure.
I've shared this example before, where several years ago, we were renting, and we were like, man, we really want to be able to buy a house again. And I remember visiting some people who live in the neighborhood that we now live in, who have almost the exact floor plan that we now have, walking in and thinking, man, I would love to have this. And now we do. and what do? I drive around in other neighborhoods and I go, man, look at that house.
I would like to have this house.
Or other houses in my neighborhood.
I would be happier if I lived here instead of where I live. The grass is always greener, Josh.
Yeah, and that really, gosh, and you know what, Ross? That really is dangerous. And so when economic times start to oppress you a little bit, you start to feel the tinge of, inflation and, cost of borrowing going up and so on, your investments are shrinking. That can really start to irritate that part of your psyche. And if you're not careful, you can start making really bad decisions. So absolutely, you have to avoid that comparison game.
All right. I'm going to kind of lump some of these together here, but the next one that I want to do solo is help others. How does helping others increase your contentment?
I don't know.
It
doesn't.
It doesn't?
I'm kidding. No.
But
yeah,
it's because you've never helped anyone.
Well, so ever.
Never.
Well, okay. So, all right. I just said you shouldn't compare, and you know what? You shouldn't. But
if you're going to
compare yourself to somebody who has less than you. How about that?
Oh man.
How about that? So I have gone on many times. I've been in other countries, third world countries, mission trips, adoption, all kinds of things. And you know what inevitably happens as I go there and I think, doggone it, I do not need a new printer. Right? Yeah. I mean, my printer is fine. My vehicle is fine. My house is fine. In fact, not only are they fine, that's a lot. That is a heck of a lot of stuff.
So much.
That I have compared to what the vast majority of the world has. So I think giving... I want to be careful here because I definitely think you should give. I think the easiest way to give is just to blindly stroke a check, transfer money, whatever, and you have no involvement whatsoever.
I would say that would not lead towards increasing your contentment.
Correct. You need to get your hands dirty with the people. You have to find the shelters, find the children, the medical ward, whatever, overseas, and go and be around people who are less fortunate than you. Give your time and give your resources.
I would temper that just a little in that Paul says there are those who go and those who send.
Yep.
So if you're a sender,
sure,
be active in your choice of how you're sending and how you're funding
Yeah.
what you're doing. But that ability to think about it's like part of the enjoyment of a vacation is the planning.
Yeah.
And so
for
part
me.
of the contentment for giving is researching and knowing how your gifts are benefiting the world. So next couple, we'll just kind of run these together here. And again, some of it's hokey and some of it's not. So this is be content with what you have, but never who you are.
Don't like yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of where I lean. I was like, what are you saying?
Probably.
But I think what they're trying to say
benefit of
is
the doubt
that there's always room for personal self-improvement.
Sure.
And so if you can increase your education, you can increase your physical health. If you can become a better version of yourself.
Okay,
work on that.
Well, hold on a second now. All right, let's get real. I think that's good, and I agree for sure. So there's two sides to that. There's one side that says be content with who you are. Be happy in your own skin, right? Like this is who you are. This is who God made you to be. But that doesn't mean that you never change and you never improve. There's always opportunity and room for growth and improvement, but not out of a general dissatisfaction for who you are, whatever.
Yeah.
I would apply that exact same logic financially and going, be content with what you have and everything. But you should never settle and go, I mean, that's again, if we're going to go using another Bible reference, right? The parable of the talents where, one guy said, hey, I took what you gave me, I buried it in the ground. And so that way, when you came back, I was able to go, here you go. Here's exactly what you gave me. He said, you're a wretched servant. You didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You didn't invest what I gave you. So you invest your time, you invest your talents, you invest your treasures to create increase, but with the right heart.
Yeah. I'm going to throw these next three together.
Okay.
For evaluation and comment all together.
Okay.
Number 8, show appreciation. Number 9, live in the moment. And number 10, enjoy free things. As ways to improve contentment, enjoy free things. Like a simple walk around the neighborhood.
Oh, that kind
like
of free.
A nice conversation with a friend.
Not like you get 1 month free of this. And then,
it's not like changing your email address to get a free trial of Hulu every month. No, it's enjoying things that are actually free.
Oh no, Ross is on to me.
Okay, show appreciation. We talked about that one in practicing gratitude, but this is more external and not internal. And then live in the moment, which I don't really recommend as a financial strategy for contentment. Living.
What does that even mean?
Just in the moment. Living. I think they're trying to say, enjoy yourself as you are now.
And enjoy. I think it goes back. I think it's redundant. It's the same idea of contentment, right? We're essentially the idea there, right, is that you're instead of constantly dwelling on what the one of these days. I used to make fun of my dad a lot because he would always say, one of these days I'm gonna have a boat. One of these days I'm going to have a, fill in the blank on just thing after thing after thing.
Yeah.
And we would always say, whenever that day comes, it's going to be awesome.
That one day.
One day.
One day.
But it's like, what? It goes back to appreciate and enjoy what you have now. Okay, so tying this back into recession-proofing your finances, today's topic obviously wasn't about the mechanics or the nuts and bolts of what specific financial moves do you make so that you can recession-proof your finances. It's about attitude, and truly, I mean, genuinely, as financial professionals, we talk about that a lot.
Yes,
in client meetings.
It's what is it? 20% knowing what to do and 80% doing it. And so we need to talk about the emotions that come with taking the action or not taking the action.
Yeah. And we're not experts on this. I mean,
No.
I certainly am not. I mean, this is, we are works in progress. So, we're right there in the trenches with you. But, instead of having despair at any level about what's going on today in today's economic environment, you can instead truly find contentment and happiness despite whatever it is that the headlines are telling us.
Yes.
All right. You want to, was that a good summary?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us what you've been listening to this week.
This week I created a playlist. I got a hankering for some guitar solos.
Guitar solos.
Yeah, and
All right.
so I just started, curating this playlist of songs that have guitar solos that I love. So of course there's some that everyone will recognize, like "Stairway to Heaven" and "Freebird." But I put "November Rain" in there, which has one of my favorite solos. The Eagles' "Hotel California" is another good one. I have some Jimi Hendrix, some Metallica.
Okay.
So there's a good mix of songs in there that have just killer guitar solo somewhere in that song. It's just so good.
That's a fun playlist.
Hear. Yeah. It was fun to create.
So is it in Spotify? Can we share it, or is it in Apple?
It's an Apple, so yes, I can share it. I can share it
You can share it with only Apple users.
with only Apple users. Yeah. I
Okay.
know.
All right. Moving on.
Okay. What have you been listening to?
I have been
Rouse?
listening to a book that I rented from the library, checked out from the library. It's Michelle Obama's autobiography,
Oh, yeah?
Becoming.
Yeah.
And she narrates it.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's to hear her own story and her voice is it's moving.
Yeah.
I'm about a third of the way in, but she gives a lot of detail and a lot of emotion and a lot of perspective to her growing up and the loss of her father and a miscarriage and her first pregnancy and Barack entering politics and the struggles and challenges that she faced, supporting him or not supporting him, all kinds of things. So it's a good read so far.
How chronologically weighted is it, pre versus post White, or pre White House versus like during White House?
So I'm about a third of the way in, and I'm in 1996.
Okay.
So I don't really know.
Okay, yeah, you haven't finished yet. Well, very good. Becoming by
Check it out.
the one and only Michelle Obama. Very good. All right. Well, that's all we have time for today, ladies and gents. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
See you soon.